It was funny. I think it's really funny and surprising how Mark's the only one who isn't autistic in this podcast.
I mean, we don't know that.
You might be. You might be.
The only one untested for autism.
He's gonna get diagnosed. Mark, you're a retard. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Film Sheet, the greatest podcast, aside from every other one, not putting any other one to account. Today is a very special day. I am joined by Jaden and Mark, two people that might be on the spectrum. And today we are talking about my favorite fictional work about a guy who is also probably on the spectrum. This is Scott Pilgrim Takes Off on Netflix. You guys, what did everyone think of the brand new Scott Pilgrim Netflix show?
Thought it was pretty good. Yeah.
Pretty
I
good.
liked it.
I thought it was fire.
Yeah,
did
it was
too.
solid. It isn't what I would have thought they would have done for this, but I always like that they subverted my expectations on it.
I fucking loved the show. I thought it was fantastic. I think like it's already an uphill battle to like it's already an uphill battle to like compete with the books and movie in my mind. But I normally hate like I think there's a good way and a bad way to subvert expectations. But I think what they did with the Scott Pilgrim anime was so fucking great once the whole thing came into picture. It really felt like secretly they subverted what I thought was going to be like an adaptation, and it ended up being like a full-on sequel, pretty much. So I think it's the sequel I never knew I wanted or never knew could exist. But I thought it was fucking fire. Fucking fire.
I liked it too. I thought it was really good. I liked that it was more of a sequel than adaptation. A lot of people were frustrated by that, but I feel like it would have been really boring if they just did the Scott Pilgrim story like a third time. And it was like, even the first episode, I was like, oh, that line's from the movie. Oh, that line's from the book. Like, if that was the entire thing, that would have been kind of just boring overall.
Yeah, would have been unneeded. At first I was very like confused of where they were going to go for it, and by episode 4 I was kind of like, all right, I don't really know how I'm feeling about this, but by the end of it, I do agree that it comes together well, even if I kind of wish it was more of its own thing instead of being so reliant on the books and the movie, like you having already have seen those, because everyone was really mad when this show came out because of its distinct lack of Scott Pilgrim, which I didn't mind at all because I like these other characters more, but it is a thing whenever they bring him back in the last 2 episodes so prominently, and they still give him his arc from like the movies and the books, a more like extended version of that arc. I'm like, well, I haven't seen you this whole show, so I don't really care or know you very well. Just because like my only attachment to you as a character here is from the movie and the book, not this show itself.
I do also think that those people that are hating the new show for the lack of Scott Pilgrim are kind of missing the point of the show. Because it really feels like a metafictional, like trying to rediscover the love of Scott Pilgrim of the franchise. Yeah, I think because I say this in I'm currently working on a video on the show, but I think like I really don't think it's a coincidence that the show focuses on Ramona so much and her trying to rediscover Scott by writing like screenplays and shit. And how there's a whole sort of thing where Scott himself is trying to talk to Ramona about how the way she sees the story is different from how he sees it. So I think a lot of people that are hating it because of the lack of Scott are kind of missing the point that the show is about rediscovering Scott. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the show is Brian Lee O'Malley kind of influenced by the internet discussion that has happened around Scott Pilgrim since it existed.
Definitely, yeah. Scott Pilgrim, I think the biggest piece of criticism towards Scott Pilgrim is like mostly towards Ramona. Ramona and Scott, but that like Ramona is like a fucking Mary Sue or like a Manic Pixie Dream Girl. Sorry, that's what it is. And
she's not Mary Sue at all. It's Manic Pixie. Sure,
wrong. Yeah, but I think this show is mainly like Brian Lee O'Malley's way of being like, look, she is not this. I will show you that she is an actual character with depth, because the movie really does lean into her just being like a one-note, dream girl kind of thing, which I like in the movie.
a lot of the discussion and to an extent, for lack of better terms, media illiteracy around Scott Pilgrim, I think is a result of the movie kind of being forced to Flanderize things a little bit.
Yeah, just so they can speed things along. Yeah.
Yeah, and I fucking movie's my second favorite movie of all time. I love the movie. So it's not a hate on the movie or anything. I think it's a great adaptation. But it was kind of
yeah. Sorry, finish.
No, no problem. But they fucking like it is like they did have to Flanderize things a little bit because it was literally like they had to work on a story that wasn't even complete and they had like condensed 6 novels into like one movie.
Yeah, the fact that it wasn't complete also, I think shows that Edgar Wright probably had a little more like influence over the ending of the movie, where it was like, oh well, the book isn't done yet, so I can kind of do what I want here, you know. So he like obviously tried leaning way more into a movie that was like didn't have the same outcome as the book, where it's like more about Scott realizing that he's been chasing like Ramona this whole time as like a dream girl, but ignoring the person that he actually had like a bond with, which was Knives. Which is why, obviously, the original ending was him ending up with her.
Which was it would have been like fucked looking back, but it would not have aged well at all.
But it makes more sense watching the whole movie because they're clearly because the whole movie is about like Scott, Ramona, and Knives, like their love triangle, I guess.
Well, that was one of multiple endings. There is a lot of endings. There's for the movie at least. Yeah, because the book wasn't finished. There's like 5. There's only 2 that are finished. 5? There's the Mech Gideon one. They're all on the DVD.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that, actually.
Most of them are only slightly different. There's Knives. There's Ramona. There's different Negascots. It's slight variations. The only one that like isn't finished is the Mech Gideon one, which I was hoping they were going to do for the Netflix series. Because I saw like the glasses moving. I was like, oh my God, it's happening. And then it didn't happen. Gideon is a bitch in this series.
I don't mind. I thought it was funny what they did with Gideon, the Gordon Goose shit. I thought it was funny.
It was funny, but he's like watching like Netflix and stuff, just hanging out all day. Yeah, he's like a loser.
Yeah.
That is so in line with like Brian Lee O'Malley's like actual sense of humor.
Yeah, I saw a lot of fans actually annoyed about that Gideon stuff, being like, well, this guy is like kind of a creep and takes advantage of women, and now we're just treating him as like a silly like punchline character, like wholesome.
But
I understand. Like, it was a little too goofy at times. It was like a little like, okay, like we get it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
To an extent, though, I'm also like not too mad because that also like is exactly Brian Lee O'Malley's sense of humor. Because I'm have you guys dived into any of his works outside of Scott Pilgrim? Because I've only read Seconds.
I've been meaning to read
Seconds as well. Seconds is really good. I feel like after this, that's going to get a Netflix adaptation.
I hope it does. Seconds is really good. I don't think Seconds is as good as Scott Pilgrim, but I think it is great. Seconds is like pretty close.
It's a different message. It's a message about like what you want and putting things off. Seconds is really good. It's reasonably short. It's not a series.
It's only one novel. It's meatier. I think like as an individual thing, it is a bit meatier. But at the same time, I feel like Brian Lee O'Malley's humor, seeing how he describes the world of Scott Pilgrim and how he in general kind of writes his own quirky style of humor. I hate the word quirky usually, but Brian Lee O'Malley does it very well. Having Gideon Graves be reduced to kind of a loser dork is exactly in line with like just how he writes. It's not even a case of like he's just trying to Flanderize or be a dick or do something like ulterior.
Yeah,
That's just his sense of humor.
I'm not saying he's being a dick or has an ulterior motive.
I'm just analyzing. I'm analyzing the show. So it's just in line with his sense of humor.
Yeah, I think it's just a thing where it's like, I don't want this to be a story about Gideon, really. I will write him out as a villain from the beginning. This how it comes off to me. Like anything he does not want to focus on for a majority of the show just gets written out, like Scott and Gideon, like the main fucking
it turned like a joke pretty much. Yeah. I love how like this is before the Netflix show, but Brian Lee O'Malley has said that when Scott like defeats an ex and kills them, they just teleport back home and forget that they were evil the whole time. He said that it's just him just like kind of just having almost this anticlimax is just what he finds funny.
Yeah.
So I thought the Gordon Goose stuff was just in line with what he normally does, and especially the metafiction stuff. Everything is just in line with Brian Lee O'Malley. So being a big fan of his work also did help me understand the perspective he might have been coming from.
Have you read Snot Girl?
I need to read Snot Girl. I tried reading it a long time ago, but never got too far into it.
To go back to the other point, I kind of actually do wish there was a little more Scott. I know you say that's missing the point, but I feel like only 2 episodes, the first episode being just a recreation basically of like the first 30 minutes of the movie, and then only 2 episodes. I feel like there should have been 4 episodes. I feel like that would have been a good amount, you know? Because the last episode is like the big fight where everyone fights and it's like, okay, honestly, it was kind of whatever, in my opinion. Everyone loves the ending. I thought the ending was a little mixed.
Yeah, I could see what he was trying to do, but I didn't think it was like, I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't think it was like realized fully. Like it seemed a bit like what are, because obviously who cares about spoilers? They bring back future Scott to kill Ramona.
Voiced by Will Forte of all people.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
I thought that was funny too.
Yeah, he comes back to kill him because he like ran away from Ramona after they like had an argument or like fought in the future. But I always felt like the show was building up that Ramona was the person who had the issue of running away. So I thought it would have made more sense if maybe the thing was more of an issue between the two of them where Ramona runs away in the future and it causes Scott to become this like next like most evil ex-boyfriend. I thought that's like would have been a pretty easy place to take it, but no, it's Scott is like the only issue and like future Ramona is kind of just like perfect, even though the show is all about Ramona learning to grow, you know? So I thought, I thought it was like a little whatever.
I do love the ending, and I do think it does show Ramona accepting herself as a person and not being defined by it. And again, with the whole theme of rediscovering Scott, I like how Scott's the one who she kind of gives the responsibility to remind her of that. And it kind of teaches you about relationships in that way. But I do see that it could have been a bit more fleshed out as well. Because it feels like kind of almost... It reminded me of all things, like the final 2 episodes of like that original Evangelion series. Where like they're all in the just giant planet and shit. Mark, have you seen like Evangelion outside of like... I know you've seen End of Evangelion and that's like it.
I've seen part 2 of the End of Evangelion.
Yeah, you see like End of Evangelion.
I've never
even
seen that. I've only seen the original series, like you're describing.
You've never seen End of Evangelion, the literal ending of the series,
any of the movies. I know.
Oh well, you only have. Well, I mean, the rebuilds are okay, but like the End of Evangelion is literally the end of the original series.
Well, this is off topic, but you have to watch Death and Rebirth first, right? Because it like changes stuff.
No, that's just a recap movie.
Oh.
There's like insane construction going outside of my house right now, and I'm trying to like figure out if it's being picked up by my audio. It's like right outside my window.
I can't hear it, but maybe it's just me.
I hear a little something, but it sounds fine. The purple light looks
Mark Pilgrim versus the world of construction.
I have a thing on my computer that like gets rid of background noise, so maybe I can see if I can just put it through that, see if it works. Never mind. Sorry, get back on. Sorry.
But anyways, fucking off topic. But it really does like remind me of like kind of the final 2 episodes of Evangelion, where a lot of stuff is kind of vague and anticlimactic, and it almost kind of it's confusing to a lot of people, but it almost kind of works in the show's favor for me. But I do kind of agree that I do wish Brian Lee O'Malley maybe found a way to flesh out just the ending for 1 more episode a bit more, because it feels like the final episode could have been expanded into 2 with the same kind of outcome, and it would have probably been a bit more stronger.
Yeah, I agree. It is weird, though, that Scott Pilgrim is like the Western Evangelion, where we're just going to keep seeing this story like brought back and like retold slightly differently every decade.
Literally, dude, fucking literally, Scott Pilgrim is the new Shinji.
I don't know if it's going to happen again. I think this is it for a while.
No, I think this is it. Yeah, I think Brian Lee O'Malley said that he didn't even want to do this one. He had to be like convinced to do this one, but only if he could do something new with it. So yeah,
so
I
it's
think
exactly
this is
like
the end.
Evangelion. It's exactly what like Auto did with the rebuilds. Oh my god, that explains it. It's Western Metal Gear Solid. That's another thing it's reminded me of. I know you guys aren't like Metal Gear players, but this reminded me of Metal Gear Solid 2, which is similarly extremely metafictional. It's about kind of like a creator kind of going, I can't follow up what I created before, so I'm going to try to rediscover what made it. I'm gonna make a whole like story about that, about how I can't follow up what I made before. And I think Scott Pilgrim did that amazingly within the context of the universe. I really love. I think one scene that really kind of, it didn't break me, but it made me be like, damn, this is some real shit. Was the damn Mark just leaves? What the fuck? Just leaves.
Bro's rambling so much. Mark just fucking left.
I was trying to ramble. I was trying to ramble more, so we didn't have to bring it up.
It's funny.
It's very funny.
You shouldn't have brought attention to it. My
Bro
my
just
dog,
fucking
like,
left. He hates Scott Pilgrim. He hates it. He's like, I can't take this shit anymore.
my dog like burst through the door and ran in. So I had to let them back out.
Mark leaves. Come on, dude.
I'm right here.
All right, so what do you think about the music in it? I loved like.
I was
all
gonna
the
mention my
music,
favorite scene, the whole thing. God damn it.
Okay,
God
go
damn
on.
it.
Keep going.
All right. One of my favorite scenes and one scene that I loved was the scene where Ramona apologizes to Roxy. I love the development, the other exes like Lucas Leagan and whatnot, and how it shows that Ramona kind of caused them. But I loved the Roxy scene where she apologizes in particular, because it really shows like.
Yeah, I this show really does seem like it's Brian Lee O'Malley kind of showing his growth as an author, where our writer, where the original Scott Pilgrim is all like, and the movie especially is all purposefully very linear, where it's like these are the bad guys, beat the bad guys, like a video game, kind of like structure. So this, I thought it was clever to use this show as a chance to kind of expand all the characters and be like, well, no, they actually do have like some more depth to them, and their dynamic with Ramona is more than.
And it kind of almost feels more like Ramona Flowers versus the world, and that's a good thing, because Ramona is a character who people don't realize is just as, not quite as flawed, but almost as flawed as Scott in a lot of regards, at least in the books. And that's kind of what makes Scott Pilgrim great. It's about like flawed people learning to be less flawed over the story.
I like that it also fleshes out Matthew Patel as well, who's like seen as like, it's an interesting dynamic because he's like easily, and you know, no offense, but the most pathetic of all the exes. So to have him be like the new boss was an interesting dynamic. They gave him a lot of growth.
clever.
You almost wanted him to win. You were like, yes. It was very interesting.
Weirdly enough, it was kind of Matthew Patel is probably one of the more not that I didn't like him or anything, but I think he was one of the more uninteresting parts of the show for me. I was really a lot more invested. Sorry, Mark. What were you saying?
No, sorry. Go on. No, sorry. Finish your thing first.
Damn, for sure. But no, I think he's one of the more uninteresting parts of it. Not that he was bad, but he's just more. I was more invested in like shit like Lucas Lee becoming an actor because of Ramona, or Roxy being literally fucked over by Ramona. Like that shit was like, damn, Ramona caused these people to happen.
Well, I'm not saying him in particular is one, but I like that all the exes were fleshed out. Really, they all had humanity to them. Even like Gideon, who's like the most evil and vile, like had humanity and was humbled down, and like you said, became Gordon Goose.
Yeah, I think once they kind of established Matthew as the new villain, I was expecting him to do more, and maybe that's why I wasn't as like I like the subversion of having him be the actual like big bad guy. But after Ramona kind of rejects him in episode 2, he kind of feels like he just fucks off for a while until the end where he comes in, but he's not even a villain anymore. He's just kind of like a CEO, so he's just kind of doing his own thing. It's weird. It feels like he just kind of disconnects from the story after all that.
But, it was a happy ending. I think he was so tired of running the Enterprise. He gave it back to its founder.
He made the evil exes great again.
It's like Disney giving it back to Walt Disney. Bob Iger gives up.
They bring them all back. Bring them all back, baby. Yeah.
What do you think of the art?
Or doing art. Jade mentioned soundtrack. Mark mentioned art.
Oh,
No, we have
it's
to
on
choose
We
the
can do art.
soundtrack.
We can transition
Which
more
way?
naturally.
Which way? Western man, art or
Well, I don't really
soundtrack?
have much to say about the soundtrack because I did not like it, but it was nothing that really stuck out to me like the movie. In my opinion, I don't know.
All I was going to say about it is I wish there was a lot more sex bomb. Like I listened to the soundtrack after, and the 45 seconds and minute long is literally all there is. So there's 2 songs, and that's it.
That's what I feel like that goes throughout the whole movie for me. Is that the show is so much longer, but I think the movie gives every character and every kind of just facet of their lives way more screen time. Like this like 4 songs in that movie, like their bands, and. Like I think Scott's moments with his little short arcs with Wallace and Kim and Envy and shit like that in the movie are way more well developed than how they are in the show, even though they have way more screen time in the show. It was really weird. I don't know. I really like how fucking tight that movie is, you know?
Yeah. I feel like they were made to
every
go
character something to do.
together. You know, one doesn't replace the other. They go hand in hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
what
what I was
a
going to
big
say
deal,
about the music, though. The score for it as well, Anamanaguchi killed it. It was really good. The only thing, did you guys hear the song at the end? The Mortal Kombat theme variant with Scott Pilgrim?
I don't remember it.
I don't remember it either. I don't remember
It was
it.
at the very end credits of the last episode. It made me realize and be do all of it, because I watched a couple of the credits and they had a special song. I was like, do all of them have this? Because Netflix just automatically goes to the next episode. I don't know. I didn't go back.
Damn.
Never know.
I go back and rewatch it. Gotta go back and rewatch it. Anyways, the art now, the animation.
It was freaking epic, dude. It looked like the book, dude.
Yeah.
I think it actually surpasses the book in a lot of
looks
regards.
better, yeah.
I think this is the arguably best looking Scott Pilgrim has looked. Which kind of there's sort of a petty part of me that kind of wishes it was just another adaptation, because I want to see more of the same story in this style. Because I think this is the best looking Scott Pilgrim yet. Not only does it look like the books, it actively improves from the books in a lot of ways. I love how Ramona's hair, for example, literally has the tips that are dyed now, which is I didn't even think
has the tips that are dyed.
Yeah, and it's holy shit, it looks so much more vibrant. She looks so much more vibrant. I love how Knives looks too. Knives is adorable in the show, I gotta say.
Whoa!
Oh.
No, not it. Platonically. Wait.
I thought the show looked amazing, but it's very nitpicky, and it's just a me thing, but I'm not that into anime. So the fact that all the actors are giving such expressive performances, but it's being matched with just the anime lip flapping, blank face, I felt like some scenes came off a little kind of stilted or slow because of that, and the weird pausing between every character talking. And I get that's just a staple of the style they were going for, but I don't know. I think I would have preferred something a little more I guess Western in its approach to facial animation. But I get that was all to see if money for the action scenes, which look fucking great,
Yeah. I don't mind that. I feel it's a good mix of anime and kind of Western cartoon the books were. Because the books were pretty much for some reason, sometimes in bookstores I'll see Scott Pilgrim in the manga section of all things.
Yeah.
But it kind of shows Scott.
There. It's because graphic novels and manga are in the same section, to be fair. But yeah.
Are they?
I guess what you're saying. I see what you're saying. You're saying it's not one of them Japanese books. Yeah, it belongs in the American book section.
Books. Exactly. But I think it does say something that Scott Pilgrim really is just one big kind of Riley O'Malley is one big fucking dork. If you watch his streams and shit, he's playing Dark Souls and shit. He's just one big weeaboo dork guy.
That is what I like most about Scott Pilgrim, and the fact that it's gotten so much attention over the years, is that it is just one guy's sole vision of a show that is just a weird combination of everything he likes. And the fact that
Exactly.
it's been like so big is like it's pretty cool.
It's like it really like Scott Pilgrim. If you like really take a good look at it, it's one big like Western work made by a guy who just also really likes anime and video games. So I really do appreciate. I think it's fine the art style overall, even though it is very anime influenced, and it can be a bit off-putting. I don't mind that because that is what Scott Pilgrim is.
I was actually going to say, I like that. I love the anime art style.
Yeah.
And it's a real. Sorry, I had to cut in. I can only get in.
It's all-
I can only
no, it's all
chime
good.
in if I cut in. But
Go right ahead. That's what we're here.
the art style I really liked. I love that it was an actual anime studio. Like it's not no Western Netflix boo boo American shit.
Yeah,
it's
it's by
a
the
real
Devilman
anime studio.
Devilman Crybaby people, right? They made like that shit. I've never seen Devilman Crybaby, but I know that's what they made. I'm pretty sure.
And it feels that it's almost. I actually kind of relate to Mark though. It's a little too anime sometimes. A little, it's like okay, take. But
I was gonna say to bounce off of the point of Mark. One thing that I do think is awkward, and like I don't want to be like it's shit because it's not. But I do think the humor is probably the weakest element of the show.
I agree.
As a whole. I like a lot of the pacing because even like both the books and the movie had a very like Western kind of snappy, sarcastic pacing, and a lot of Japanese works. The language just doesn't have things like sarcasm to the extent that Western works do.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And the humor kind of
well, it's
it
written
took
in
me
the West,
rewatching
right?
the movie.
It's written by an
Yeah,
West.
it's written in the West, but it's still I'm wondering what happened with the humor because it's still a Japanese studio making it. So at times the pacing feels a little weird and kind of jank.
Well, I
Not
was
like-
watching the movie again recently, and I really realized how that movie is so funny because of Edgar Wright's directing and how how fast everything is, and the editing too, like how snapping and like all this like fucking like quick zoom ins and like zoom outs and the characters like internally talking, and you see their head like pop up like in the background like feed in, and it's like it's also just funnier to kind of see those like cartoon things done to like fucking Michael Cera in live action. And I think the fact that Edgar Wright was like involved with this one, but he wasn't like directing or like writing or like doing anything like that from as far as I'm aware. I don't know. I just think the movie because of his involvement is a lot like funnier than Takes Off. Not that Takes Off is trying to solely be a comedy, it succeeds
not
more
that
in
it's
other
like
areas.
unfunny, just like it's probably the I think the humor was like one of the weaker elements, especially in terms of pacing.
Yeah.
Because again, like it goes back to my point. I've heard like the Western dub was the main priority, but still I feel like American or Brian Lee O'Malley's not even American, but like Western, like
Canadian
Western
bigot.
humor. Yeah. Sorry, one of those like snow people. Anyways, but
Whoa.
those
It's
maple
sad.
syrup drinkers can't stand them. But I feel like Western humor and Japanese humor are so very like different. So completely different. And not that one's funnier than the other, because I don't believe that at all, obviously. But they are just two entirely different things. So I'm wondering if there's like a conflict at all that happened behind the scenes when it came to how to translate what Scott Pilgrim's humor is. Because it feels like it's kind of like the pacing is the most off part of the humor.
Yeah.
Like, not that it was unfunny, just that I'm wondering if that was the reason the humor was maybe the weakest part of it. But maybe it was
I
a
don't know
stylistic
if
thing,
it's
I don't know.
even the Western or East. I think it's partially what Mark touched on. I think it's the lack of Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright just nails that in all of his movies. He just has that tone, that quippiness. Even the music, they were like trying to be like Edgar Wright. Like, he's just the GOAT. FRFR.
Possibly.
And because this is a show, they couldn't have that like fucking breakneck like editing that the movie had constantly throughout its 2 hours. I get why they would want to like slow it down, but I think as a result of that, a lot of the piecing of the scenes is just kind of like more slow and not as funny. And I think the movie is ultimately better, but that doesn't mean the show is bad at all. The show's still great.
it's hard to get a grasp on Brian Lee O'Malley's pacing, like actual pacing, when the pacing in question is written on a book, like written on a page. It's hard to get a grasp on like pacing when you kind of make the pacing yourself in a book as opposed to like a movie where it is snappy. So I agree with that.
What would you rather have? Two options. An actual like movie directed by Edgar Wright, like a 2-hour movie that's basically the same thing as this, but told in the movie form and live action, or this animated series. I
don't think that's a question. I hate to like cop out, but I don't think it's
not
a
like
question
a high budget. Netflix does movies. Like Netflix could do a live action movie. It could happen.
It's hard. I think this is the story that really makes me go. I like both. I can't really like decide which one I want.
I'd go for a movie.
I think I'd go for a movie.
I would lean more towards movie too, but that doesn't invalidate the show to me.
No, no, not at all.
It doesn't. It's more so a praise of like what you were saying, the snappiness and the timing of Edgar Wright's humor and directing skills, rather than
I really think the movie is like the perfect culmination of all these like different like things just coming together in the best way possible. And I think that would have been near impossible to replicate with like a TV series. So it's not even like I'm mad about it. It's more so just like, well, it's what I expected. I didn't expect anything nearly as like I didn't expect it to stick with me nearly as much as the movie did. Because when did you guys find Scott Pilgrim? I find Scott Pilgrim whenever I was like a little kid, and I find like a 240p rip of it on YouTube. And that was my first time watching it. But like I've seen like fucking 40 times since then,
How old were you then when you discovered Scott Pilgrim?
I would have been like 9.
Jesus, 9?
Yeah.
Damn. I think like I've heard of Scott Pilgrim throughout the years and was a little bit interested in it. I remember first hearing about it in a Nintendo Power magazine, but I didn't actually get into it until like a high school. I then went, man, this Scott Pilgrim thing, I keep hearing about it, but it looks very interesting, but I've never really dived into it. So I went to my library and read all the books, and then I watched the movie afterwards, and I fell in love with it the moment I kind of really dive into it. Like I remember like the book was kind of a book that I kind of screamed at in terms of like me getting like invested in the narrative, and that pretty much surprised me because there's a lot of books I just straight up like scream at.
I actually agree. I'm not gonna lie. I cried. It's the first time. It might be the only time I've ever cried at a book. I was like, as a kid, I was in middle school too. I think I was in 7th grade and maybe 8th, no, but I think 7th when I read it.
I didn't cry during Scott Pilgrim, but I felt shit. So I do agree with you there.
I didn't even finish the book.
Dude, you gotta finish that shit. The book is great.
Of them. Yeah, I owed all of them. I think it was the 4th one that had me feeling.
See, that's what I keep hearing, because I always heard people talk about how like they really like the first 4 books, but they don't really like care for the last 2 that much. And I realized whenever I was doing research for my video that it seems like Brian Lee O'Malley started trying to like take on criticism a bit by the time the 5th book was coming out, and so it kind of changes its direction ever so slightly, and that's why like Ramona has more of a presence and she's more of a character later on, because obviously people were bitching about like her just being like a trophy to be won and fought for.
I love 5 and 6. I don't care what anybody says. I love 5 and 6.
I like novels. Those too.
I remember them at all.
I think I love the books. I think narratively speaking, I think the books are probably the peak. I think, people are on crack saying that 5 and 6 are bad. No, those are good. They're peak.
I gotta read them again.
Dude, Scott confronting
or for the first time.
For the first time.
I've read 5. I haven't read 6, so I gotta read 5 again and 6 for the first time.
Dude, man, Scott and Kim's like friendship in 6, dude, that shit, man.
They barely talk in the show. They share like 2 lines together.
And in the book,
that's my kind of thing.
In the book,
I know. But that's my kind of thing with the show, is that it's like I want to see Scott interacting with all these characters, but there's no time for it because he's not here. Like he doesn't talk to Envy like once in this whole show, And that's like one of my favorite aspects of the movie is like their talks together.
There's a humble bundle.
So it's just one of the.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, there is a humble bundle.
There's a humble bundle, and it ends in 20 minutes. So I'm literally buying it right now.
What do you get?
I was gonna say if you
every
want the
Scott
books,
Pilgrim book. It has every Scott Pilgrim one. Wait, you just
I was
have
gonna
really?
say, if you yeah.
Oh, okay.
No,
yeah.
no, I don't. I would never. I would
just
never
kinda-
illegally
yeah.
distribute
I was
a copy
I was
of
literally,
that. Never.
I guess I probably should record it, but I was like pulling out my card. I was like, I'm buying this right now. This is ending. Because I was like, I wonder if I should mention it in the video that there's a humble bundle. And I was like, it ends now.
Yeah, it ends right now, and it would be a real, it would be a real damn shame if I sent you the PDFs and DMs.
Okay,
Would you not want me to send you them and for you to buy them at the last minute instead?
So what were you saying when I interrupted? I'm sorry, that's my bad.
God damn it, my ADHD. I took my meds and now I forgot. My ADHD is still on the.
To be fair, I think I interrupted Mark. Were you talking, Mark?
Who was talking? Was it you, Mark?
I think I was talking about how the show, despite having so much more time, it focuses so much on Ramona and the exes that it kind of ignores Scott's life and Scott's friends like Kim and Steven, and especially Knives. She gets fucking sidelined in this show. Which is like, obviously that's the intent. And it's like, we've already seen Scott interact with these characters, but it's like, this is a new like universe. I want to see kind of his way of talking to them all again. I want to like, you don't have to like recreate the movie, but like make new moments with them or something. I don't know. Like, but I get why it's not there. It's not like I'm mad about it. It's just like, oh, I wish I could have saw that in like animated form.
I was gonna say, like, I don't mind that lack of shit that I like because of what the show is and what it's trying to be. And I really don't mind that at all. Because, again, like the show is about rediscovering what people love about Scott Pilgrim in the first place. Yeah. That's why I feel like in a very Metal Gear Solid 2-ish way. I know you guys haven't played that game, but just for general audiences, I guess. But I think just as sort of like, I do agree with you to an extent. There's like a fanboy part of me that kind of goes, man, I want to see like the on-screen version of like Lisa Miller. I want to see like, the show do shit the books and the movie couldn't with a new lens. And there is like a fanboy sort of like part of me that is disappointed by that. Yeah. But again, that's not like, that doesn't lower my rating. That's more of a personal preference. Obviously.
Yeah, you're able to like separate what you would have wanted to see versus like what you got. Yeah, I agree. That's my way of looking at it too.
Exactly. I feel like there are probably people that'll probably see us say something like that and kind of assume that, even though because I think of something like in contrast, I think of the recent Clone High reboot, which I did not like at all.
I did not like it either.
Oh, same, hell yeah, but. With the recent Clone High reboot, that is something where it's like a lot of what they did there, it really felt just like they hated the original show and misunderstood it. And it's like, it's not just not what I wanted, it's also like almost like they didn't respect me as a fan after.
Yeah, it feels just bad.
Yeah, it's just straight up fucking dog shit. But
oh my god! Yeah, sorry, not to get on Clone High. I never talked about that in a video, so I'm kind of like sitting here like, oh, we're fucking about that show.
After the call, yeah. But and not to like, obviously I'm not bringing this to whine about. I'm bringing this in for contextual purposes. But I remember a couple YouTube comments and a couple Twitter people, getting on me a little bit, being like, oh, it's just because it wasn't what you expected, or it's not the kind of. You didn't get the crowd-pleasing circle jerk that you wanted. And it's like, no, as someone who's a big fan of like Evangelion and MGS2 and now Scott Pilgrim, it's pretty clear that when you write a work that is metafictional or self-critical, you always have to be mindful that you're always still rediscovering what you love about the original work, because people love the original work for a reason. And you don't have to change things to appeal to someone new. You just have to be able to rediscover what people loved about it in the first place. Because new people are going to rediscover the original. And even if they don't completely understand it, by still keeping true to what that original essence was, like Scott Pilgrim was, you are able to kind of carry on what the original work was trying to do, you know?
That's the thing. Even though this show is very like self-critical of the Scott Pilgrim movie and the book, it doesn't make it so a fan will go back to those and be like, well, I can't enjoy this anymore. I've just seen like the creator break down how shit it is, you know?
Yeah. It's not
a...
That's why I love about Brian Lee O'Malley and to a lesser extent, I keep bringing him up, but Kojima, how both of them kind of I see a lot of similarities between not to say that Brian Lee O'Malley is as convoluted as someone like that is, but I see how both of them still respect their own work and are able to at least try to rediscover what made them special, even if there is death of the author going on. And even use that and that insecurity of death of the author to form a work around that, you know? And that to me is the difference between a good writer and a bad writer, when you can take something like death of the author or something and turn that into a way to rediscover and build the foundation of your work.
What is death of the author?
Yeah.
You keep saying that. I don't know what that
Death
is.
of the author. You never heard Death of the author. It's sort of the idea that after a work comes out, the author dies due to audience interpretation, basically.
Oh, okay, I get it.
That's what it pretty much is. I guess that's what I think. That's what I could be getting the definition wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it means.
Is that what you feel, Grant, whenever you tweet your opinions on Twitter?
That's what every Twitter user does. Death of the author, like death of the Twitter user. That makes me scared, you know, as like, for me that wants to write. What if my work comes down, people are like, oh, this is actually about the Vietnam War. And I'm like, no, it's about a guy who is autistic.
What if people think it's actually bad?
Damn, I'm going to have to cry in my room then. Never write again. Mark, when your cartoon comes out, what if someone makes a video essay and they write about how your work is actually a genius allegory on the current political state of the U.S.?
If they wanted to make a video of my cartoon calling it genius, I would accept it in any way, in any form.
I'm going to start my commentary channel and I'm going to make a video called LS Mark's new cartoon is worse than Daft Peanut's.
It's worse than Velma.
Saturday's off. You will never beat it.
You will never, ever be able to beat anything.
I've already accepted that. I've already accepted that. Don't worry.
You're a bad artist, bad writer, bad everything. You have no talent, no balls, no
cartoon
dick.
is going to slap. It's going to
It's going to slap
people.
I'm fucking with you.
So.
Mark, can you can you do like what Brian Lee O'Malley does and then write like a second season, but just have it be like how you'll never top the original work?
Yeah.
Have
sure.
Do like Evangelion, have all the characters go into like fight like angels and shit, and then have like mental breakdowns. Genius.
That'd be cool.
Right now, if I wanted to buy the exclusive film rights to your series, how much would that cost?
Give me like $100,000, and I would
only $100,000, only 100.
Yeah.
I go for at least
give me $100,000. I would do it.
A lot of people in California are going, ooh.
Yes. Okay. We got very sidetracked. Overall opinions on Scott Pilgrim, the animated series. What do you guys think? At a score, because we do that.
Hell yeah. I would not say it's a perfect show, but it's perfect for Scott Pilgrim. And as a result, I am feeling a strong 8 to a light 9, a strong 80 to a light 90.
So which one of the two?
90. Give me a 90. 91.
Let's go.
Fucking 91. 91.
91. Whoa.
91.
Whoa.
I will give it a 79 then.
79.
It's great. Yeah.
79. Because something was missing. I didn't click, so I don't know. But I saw something was pixelated in the thumbnail. I was trying to figure out what it was.
It was Lisa Miller.
What's missing? Was missing. It was Anna Lisa Kendrick. Miller. Stacy Pilgrim. Not enough.
It was Lisa Miller.
It was missing Scott. Don't you get it?
Like his video.
I didn't see it, but I saw it was blurred again. I did see it was blurred. I'm going to go in between. I didn't like it as much. A 91 is like wild. But I do wish there was like another 2 episodes of Scott. I felt like it was like Ramona Flowers, the series, which isn't a bad thing. But I do wish there was more Scott. Like it was like, wow, Michael Cera's finally back as Scott Pilgrim, and he's not here. And then when he is here, it's just like a fight for one of the episodes.
It's just shit on him.
Like, okay. So I'm going to give it an 85. 85 out of 100. So what does that total?
I think that bounces it out to like an 85 total.
91 plus 79 plus 85 divided by 3. That cannot be right. That is 189. That is not right. That's too high.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting the same score you are. It got 255 out of 300. So it'll be 255 divided by 300. Yeah, 85.
Wait,
85. Scott Pilgrim gets an 85.
Wait, I gave it an 85. 85 is also the score.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I picked 79 because he picked 91, so it balances it out to a perfect 85.
Damn.
I know, man.
Damn. That's a high score. 85 out of 100.
85
out of 100. That's our film sheet score.
Are you still doing the math? Are you double checking?
No, sorry. No, I'm on my phone.
I guess that's the outro now. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to all my autistic Scott Pilgrims out there. Please date responsibly. Date above the age of consent. Don't be like Scott. Thank you all for watching Film Sheet, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
The next weekly episode.
Weekly episode. Whenever the fuck we do these. Bye-bye. You're a retard.